Hello, we're live.
We're live.
Here
Hey,
you
guys.
are.
So today, hold on, I'm sorry.
We are sitting in a car. If you can't tell. And why are we sitting in a car?
Because we're traveling for work, trying to help grow our business.
So we traveled. What is this? Probably 600 miles or so. We flew into another airport. No, we don't want to get into where we are because there's you build your own relationships within your business. But we traveled about a 2-hour flight outside of Omaha, and there's 6 of us total that came to tour a printing facility that is very lean. That they're very lean focused, and they invited us out. In fact, they did more than invite us out. They were like emphatic about, you guys need to come out here and check this out and see what we're doing. So we've been doing that, and it's really inspiring, and it's really awesome.
Which likely so, because
awesome opportunity.
It's really cool to show, like as we have built FireSprint up to what it is and stuff, like we get really excited when people come out and they see our facility and stuff, and we're walking people through, and it's just because like we're proud of it, right? We built it from scratch, and it's so just to go into the intro real quick, we haven't really said who we are or what we do, because if anybody's new watching, which hopefully there are some new people. I'm James Hamsey. This is Gene Hamsey.
And sorry, I just jumped right into it.
You're good. Well, my phone rang right away, so it's understandable. But anyway, so we are 2 of the 3 owners of FireSprint. Mark is the 3rd owner. He's actually with us as well. Anyway, so we do FireHour just to help. We're going to do about almost 8 million this year, and we are excited about how we've grown and stuff, and we want to share the journey about how we've gotten here and stuff. And it's I wish when we were starting that there were more channels and stuff that talked about this kind of stuff. And, it's just always interesting. And so but yeah, today we're going to talk about why you travel for work and the importance of it and why it's important. And I said that again twice. So
no, we think it's crazy important. It's a great investment. We like to invest in our people. We take as many people traveling as we can when we go. So when we go to the big trade shows, we'll take, there might be 7, 8 of us at FireSprint, going, and it's hard on the shop. So we're about 36 people, 37 people. And so for 9 of us to leave, for example, like we did, I think in September for the Printing United show, that was huge. It's hard on the people back at the shop, but just experience that people get and bring back because of it.
And it builds longevity with your team too. You've got, if they believe that you believe in them and doing that kind of stuff, which is not cheap to travel. I mean, you can make it as cheap as you can, but it's still
expensive.
Even on the cheapest date, it's still expensive.
Yeah.
And so, it's cool to invest in your people. It's cool to invest in ourselves, our company, and all that stuff. So,
yeah. So, should we get into questions?
Yeah. Okay. So we have a handful of questions geared up for this. If you have more, we love hearing questions come through the chats on YouTube and Facebook. So please include those.
And your questions don't have to have anything to do with travel. Feel free, ask the question. The worst case scenario, we're going to say that's not something we can answer. Yes. We either don't know or we're not comfortable sharing that, which there's very few things that we're not comfortable sharing. There's a lot that we don't know. So just ask, and don't be embarrassed by that. We thrive on that. That's really important for us. So even if you think you know the answer, sometimes it just gives us the boost to keep going, because this is it's a lot of work for us to do this. And knowing that it's giving back to the community and helping you guys grow, it really is what fuels us with this. So.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So first question we have is, if I can only afford to travel once a year or less for my business, what is the most bang for my buck?
So I think that's a really good question. And I think, every business is going to have different, you have to do what's right for your business. Mm-hmm. But I think if I'm going to give you a quick answer, what's the most bang for the buck? Trade shows, right? Especially the really big trade shows.
Yeah.
And so I think,
and there's all different spectrums of trade shows, right? There's shows like the New Product Showcase, where they're much smaller and they're tabletop road shows.
It's a promo product show.
Yeah. And those are, more regional and stuff, but everywhere in the country's got these small tabletop shows, and those are really easy to get into, right? You can drive 3 hours, hopefully they're in your hometown, and you can get access to those and stuff. But, where we were kind of heading towards this was the big ones that we're talking about are, like the Printing United Expo or ISA Sign Expo.
Yeah. So Printing United, there's Label Expos, things like that are really massive shows. The cool thing about going to the really big shows, they're overwhelming, and I don't know that you're going to experience a ton the first time you go, but those are the best shows, in my opinion, for us to take new team members to, right? Yeah. And so they get there, they see 25,000 people in print, they see millions of dollars worth of equipment running, and it gives people the sense of scale of the printing industry, the signage industry, right? I think our industry is a sleeper industry. I call it that a lot. And what I mean by that is print is like $1 trillion industry. And you can fight me on that, but the fact of the matter is it's everywhere. It's on my keyboard right now that I'm looking at. It's on all the decals, all over the dashboard of this vehicle. It's ink and different forms of printing. And a lot of folks, when they get into printing, especially early on, don't understand how massive it is. And so they're thinking to themselves, well, this is going to be a stepping stone job for me. I'm going to get a job at this printing plant, and then I'm going to get out of print as fast as I can because it's a dying industry or whatever it is, whether it's print or even signage, promo products. People are kind of thinking this way. And then you take them to one of these shows and they see thousands of people walking around in this industry, millions of dollars worth of equipment, what they're producing, how fast things are, how energetic it is. Mm-hmm. And they see that at that big show. Like Printing United really is my favorite for this. It changes their perspective and it gives them longevity, right? And so that's what we're trying to do when you're taking your team to travel anywhere. It's to build longevity within your team, to get them to really be thinking about, okay, I actually can see a future in this. And so I'm going to stick out the highs and the lows because I can see the long-term future in this rather than thinking about it as a...
And not just for the printing industry, like Printing United and ISA and stuff like that, but you have the whole promotional products world where you have the PPAI show in Vegas. And you walk in and I mean, it's overwhelming how many suppliers are there, how many different 10x10 booths and stuff, all the little guys, all the big guys, they're all there. You walk in, there's so much to see. And, we're all in our own little world inside our facility or inside our office, where we sell for, 10 or 15 different suppliers or even 2 suppliers or 1 supplier, but just how big that network is and stuff. And so PPAI shows, the ASI shows and stuff where there's, 50 to hundreds of booths there and stuff. It just opens all that up.
Yeah, for sure. And by the way, little plug, we will be at the PPAI show in Las Vegas. It's mid-January.
Yep.
And we'll be exhibiting. So James and I and maybe some other people from our team will be there so you can come meet us in person and grab some free samples and things like that too.
Yep.
But
absolutely.
We'll be there.
Yep. You'll hear it again too.
Yeah. We're going to have Andrew post a link. So we created a trade show list for you guys. And we went out and we tried to find all the trade shows that are in the print, promo, signage industries and kind of list where they are and the dates. And so maybe flying to a trade show or staying at a hotel is outside of your budget, but maybe you can drive to one that's 2 or 3 hours away and just do it for a day. The lowest cost. There's some that are on the weekends and things like that too. So we've created a fairly comprehensive list of all the trade shows coming up in the next year, 13 months or so. And we're going to put links in the comments of these videos. If you otherwise you will be able to go after the show here, you will be able to go to firesprint.com/tools and we'll link to that list there. So use that and maybe find a smaller show if you've never been to a trade show in our industry.
Yeah. And if there are any shows that you recognize that are missing, obviously we love feedback.
Absolutely.
And so you can email it to marketing@firesprint.com.
Yeah.
Same thing with any questions that you would have that you didn't want to ask here.
I love the emails that we get every once in a while that like, hey, you guys messed this up. You did this wrong or you're missing this. It's like, yes, let's fix that. So
absolutely.
Thank you for that.
Yeah. Thank you. So talking about expensive, if travel's too expensive, and I can't afford to go, but I'd like to, how do I do that?
Yeah. So, there's a few things. So first of all, can't afford to go means different things, right? Sometimes like the actual cash to buy the plane ticket, like just doesn't exist in the bank account. And when we were first starting out, I get that. It was, very much where it's like, if we can go to this trade show or we can pay ourselves. Right. And so you're trying to balance that. That's more challenging. My advice for that is plan something out long in the future. And
Bob Hutchinson just commented on that.
Oh, great.
He said, yeah, I'm going to try and go to Printing United next year. Just hard with kids and my wife is not a Target store. Yeah. Having difficult schedules, for both, your household, that's huge.
Yeah. So we are always working with that. James and I both have 3 kids. Mark's got a young under 1, and so it's always a challenge.
All of our wives work.
Yep. Yes, they all work full-time jobs, so it is a challenge, like getting out to travel. But so back to traveling, like being able to afford travel. The best advice I can give, or what we always have tried to do, is plan it out as far in advance as you can, so you're kind of budgeting for it, so you know that next October, almost a year away, we're going to spend a few $1,000s on this trade show. We're going to go do it. And then the thing to do is, let's say you get that big job that comes in and cash flow is a little bit better, this month. Go buy your plane tickets that day, right? And then you got another big job that comes in the next month. Go buy your hotel rooms or pay for your hotel rooms that day, if you're doing that, or buy your gas card or whatever it is. So you kind of try and save up for it in a way by pre-purchasing those expenses. That's if it's a matter of like you actually don't have the cash to do it. That's the best advice that I can give. Try and pull that out of your budget, as you have time. I don't know about most, but a lot of the times it's, you're kind of thinking either or. I can go to a trade show, or we can buy a piece of equipment, or we can invest in new software, or, we can take a higher paycheck, whatever it is. And so you're investing in different things and you're trying to decide what's the best ROI. And I would say, when you start going and traveling for your business, you're really going to start to collect on that ROI. You're going to see it. We are so inspired visiting this shop that we're at today. We've got dozens of ideas, and our team has dozens of ideas that we're going to take back to FireSprint and make FireSprint better. And so, calculating, we'll get into more about calculating ROI for the trade shows, but that's.
And one thing to touch on real quick, when you walk into somebody else's facility, or you walk into a trade show and stuff, and you see different ideas about how to like implement that in your shop, what you're looking for in inspiration is not necessarily, I'm going to take this exact idea and replicate it in my shop. It's, the hope is that you inspire, because everybody does something. We're all running the same equipment, we're doing very similar things, and you see that kind of industry wide. But what can you do to inspire that thought process in your own facility, to come up with your own ideas and make things kind of do things your own way? And so it just opens up the mind a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. It's not a direct copy, but
James Duncan on YouTube, thanks for joining us again. We appreciate, we love the you joining in and giving us some feedback and stuff. We really appreciate that.
Audio on Facebook is choppy, says Bob. Unfortunately, I don't know if Andrew has any ideas for that, but we can keep playing with that a little bit on our end if there's something we can do. But if the audio is good on YouTube, then maybe jump over to YouTube if you guys are there. Andrew, can you post a link directly to the YouTube thing in the Facebook feed, so that, or just cross-link them both, frankly. So you can jump over to whichever one you need to.
Thanks, Andrew.
Yeah.
We're looking at Andrew on a tiny little screen, and he's nodding yes in there. So, but this is our first time doing a remote thing like this.
We're running off our cell phone. So thanks for bearing with us as we do this. But we were talking about canceling because we had this trip planned, and this is a really important trip for us. We're like, no, we're not going to do that. Let's just try and do it from the car. And it's a good topic. So
going back to content creation and marketing a few weeks ago, or a month ago, consistency is key. And that's kind of what we're trying to do here. So, but anyways, James Duncan, you mentioned that you went over to a shop, I think they're in Davenport, Iowa, at Sign Team. And Mickey's an awesome guy.
Oh gosh.
We actually stumbled upon, Gene and I were driving to ASI Chicago, which he was talking about ASI Chicago as well. And we were driving to and from ASI Chicago, and we were trying to hit as many sign shops and potential clients in between the two. And so this was probably 5 or 6 years ago. And Mickey's shop was actually one that we stumbled upon. And that's where we first met him, was doing that. And he was growing fast, and he's an awesome guy. I think him and his wife were running it. And they're just, awesome. So no, Bob, don't be sorry. Thank you so much for giving us the feedback. That matters more than you'd ever know. So
yeah. We need to go visit Mickey. Mickey, if you see this, we'd love to visit you. And frankly, even before that, come visit us, and maybe we can share some ideas, and we can all get better.
Absolutely.
So we're all working against the $500 million gorillas in our industry. So,
So how do you decide which trade shows to go to? I know we've covered on this a little bit, but if you are working with a handful of suppliers and you're trying to get everybody in one place to talk to them at once, it's always good to investigate to see where the most of them are going to be. You know, and obviously the larger the show, the more likely they are to be there. However, you know, even on the supplier side, our side, or, you know, for any of the big name suppliers like Grimco, Glance, all those guys, those shows are very expensive. And so there's a lot of little suppliers that still won't make it there, or they might just do one out of, you know, the 20 that are available to them, or the 3 or 4 that are available to them. And so I would ask them when you're trying to decide which show you're going to be at, where they're going to be, just so you can go see them and stuff. And yeah, you got.
So yeah, I mean, the first thing is, as James said, go to your top suppliers and ask them what trade shows they're going to be at, and that's a really good indicator for, you know, trade shows that are going to really speak to you, that are going to have what you're looking for. That's number one. Number two, and not necessarily in better or worst order here, but number two is ask your colleagues, right? Get on Facebook, get on the groups and ask, hey, what trade shows are you guys planning on going to this year? And people who you respect, admire, want to meet up with, those are great opportunities. So I know Darren over at Time to Make Something, Print Fam, is when he goes to a trade show, he'll kind of announce that, hey, I'm going to this trade show and we're kind of planning a meetup. Yeah. And so that's a great opportunity too, because then you're going there, you know, people, you have somebody to decompress with. Not that that's not the right word, but you know, you go to the show, you're like overwhelmed, and then you go have a drink with somebody who.
Why don't you go? You're talking about including. Sorry if we just disconnected real quick. I'm sorry about that.
Andrew, does it look like we disconnected?
We're back.
We're back.
Okay.
Oh, there it goes.
So
okay.
Yeah, what you talking about? Getting together with somebody at the show.
Okay.
Decompressing about it.
So yeah, so we're you know, you're checking with your vendors, but then go check with your friends, your colleagues in the industry, Facebook groups. You know, get on Print Fam, and I know Darren does. He'll do meetups at some of these big shows, and that's just a really great opportunity, because you go, especially if you haven't been to a show before, you're going to walk a big one, you're going to walk out on the show floor, you're going to be overwhelmed, you're going to be like, how do I keep track of all of this stuff? And then you get out and you go and you sit down and you have a Coke or a beer or whatever with somebody who's also experienced this, and you're comparing notes and you're digesting it, and you know, it really helps to kind of solidify what you saw. And so I love that. I love, you know, we'll go to a big show and then we'll all get together for dinner, like all the fire sprinters will get together and we'll talk about like what we saw that day, what were your top things that, you know, you want to explore tomorrow. And that helps a lot. So, you know, friends and vendors.
Yeah.
For picking a show.
Absolutely. There was an awesome comment that came in from Bill Simmons on Facebook. A lot of shows are about new equipment. What about business operations, or how to choose trade shows you should be in to sell to your customers?
Yeah. Okay. So exhibiting in trade shows is what he's talking. Okay.
Yeah. And at an operational level, like, you know, there's a ton of trade shows that are about, you know, just equipment or just materials, you know, new suppliers and stuff like that. But business operations. So Mark, our third partner, he's our CFO. And I know he really has been striving a lot with, there's a local, I think it's called CFO LLC, and it's a local chapter that he has kind of latched on.
That's a networking group.
Yeah, networking groups and stuff like that for getting into business operations. The other thing too, business operations really comes into play. It, you know, not necessarily at the trade show, the booth, but you know, who you talk to there, right? The other shops. When, you know, we were talking about the I'm drawing a blank here. Trying to connect with, you know, people within certain Facebook groups, like on Facebook, there's the Promotional Products Professionals, there's Print Fam, there's Sign Shop Talk, all those. You know, if you are going to one of these shows, posting in there saying who's going to be there, connecting with them, and you know, you talk about their business, and a show is a great place to do that, because your facility, you know, if you are, you know, if you're printing stuff for a high-end, you know, a high-end client or something like that, where you don't want to expose artwork that's in your shop, you don't want to expose the work that you're doing and stuff like that. A trade show is a great place because it's a level playing field for everybody there.
Yeah, for sure. And so, you know, I think it is. So operations, you know, you might think of software and think, so Printing United has a ton of software vendors that
They
go.
Yeah.
Even the PPAI show, the promo product show, has a
Yeah.
ton of software vendors that are there. And so just kind of going down that path, operations isn't just software. It's so much more than that. But kind of going down that path and talking to those guys and working that out, that's a big part of it. But you're surrounded by people who are in the same thing. And then for us, I mean, the big reason why we're visiting this printer here is operations, right? It's just to see their workflow. We've just been standing in the corner. They've really been so gracious to allow us to just stand in the corner and watch them work for several hours. And, we're learning so much in that process. And so I think we should jump ahead to a question for here, because I know there's one on the list about how do you get into other shops, right? How do you visit competitors in our industry and things like that? And so what would be your advice for, getting somebody to open up to you to show you their shop?
Yeah, it's challenging because you have, obviously you want to protect what you do and stuff, but what we've kind of the way that we've always approached it is we try to open our doors to as many people as possible. And we're not, going to tell you what clients we work with. We're not, we're going to do our best to try to hide artwork as much as we can, but we are a functioning shop. So we have jobs going through every single day. And so, but we're always, we're always pretty open about talking about processes, this pod, our FireHour here is one way, but the more you open up your doors, the more people are going to be susceptible to open up doors to you and stuff, which is, and it's just relationships. The amount of times that we've talked to, other companies about business and, talking shop and stuff like that, it just kind of builds that network and that trust amongst, both ways.
I think an abundance mindset is kind of what comes to play here, right? Like we never really feel at FireSprint like there's not enough work, right? In fact, I'm overwhelmed to think about how much work is out there for us to capture. And so as we grow, it seems like every little bit of growth we have, it's like, oh, there's 10x that out there in the marketplace for us to go capture. And so having this abundance mindset really allows us to say, come see what we're doing. We don't have any trade secrets. We'll show you as much as we can show you. And that has, I think, whether or not they come visit us, just the idea of that mindset, right? The idea of, well, FireSprint's open, so I can be open with them, I think has really helped us get invited into a lot of places.
Yeah.
And so we've seen a lot of shops actually, but the other thing I would say too is network with your vendors. Like we've bought printers, right? And we say, can we see one of these printers in action? And so, your sales rep will call around and say, okay, these guys are next to you and they're willing to show you the printer firsthand. And so you're going in there to look at a specific printer, but while you're there, you guys are talking shop and you're discussing things and you're sharing knowledge and they're sharing knowledge. Mm-hmm. And so, but it all comes down to like, this industry is so big and there's so much room for everybody to be in it.
Yeah.
And, having that abundance mindset is really, I think, key to being able to.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Get in places and invite people in.
Bill Simmons, do you guys offer a day with Gene and James?
What does that mean?
Come to Omaha.
Yeah.
And we would love to hang out.
Yeah. And Mark, frankly, and the rest of our team, we don't mind being in front of the camera, but there's a bunch of people on our team that are even smarter than we are, far smarter than we are. And they keep the shop running and, they know the ins and outs of our little operation, little nuances of operation here and there.
Yeah.
And so, not just us. I mean,
we just like to talk.
Yeah. So obviously that's what we're doing right now. Right. But for sure. And then I don't think we answered Bill's question about how to pick a trade show to sell to your customers. And that, I don't know that I have. How would you pick a trade show to sell to our customer? How have we picked? So we're going to be in the PPAI show. We've tried being in the Printing United show. I think there's quite a bit of experimentation that goes with that. You try it and then you kind of record, did I at least pay for the entry fee?
Yeah.
Right?
Which a lot of times I'll tell you, like without a ton of like marketing data and stuff, which we're starting to get there as a company, where we can recognize like ROI on a show like that. But a lot of it is, unfortunately, it's a hunch, right? You try it out, you see how it goes. Mm-hmm. Did you have a lot of fruitful conversations? Did you have a lot of people that came up to you that already worked with you or already recognized your brand? That was probably one of the big things this year, because we did more trade shows this year than we've ever done before. we did the 3 ASI shows, Orlando, Fort Worth, and Chicago. Then we did PPAI, which is in Vegas. Those were ones that we exhibited at, and then we attended other trade shows as well without exhibiting. Yeah. But a lot of that, I think, kind of what got me to sign up for PPAI again, and what's getting me to sign up for ASI again, is just you have people walking up to your booth and talking to you that recognize you or they work with you, and out of the so ASI, we get about 150 to 180 badge scans, right? So those are people coming up that we're having a legitimate conversation with. PPI is a little bit more, but there's an extra day, and so for every day and a half, that's what we were getting. And like that ratio of current client, existing client. We don't know if they're actually, without looking into it, we don't know how much they're buying from us at that moment. But it was enough for them to recognize us. That just gave me a good enough hunch to make me want to sign up again. And then
data-driven decisions.
Yeah,
100% of the time. No, I wish it worked that way.
Yeah, I wish it was, and that it was more data-driven. But it's challenging though. Why did you decide to go eat McDonald's the other day? Did you go because of the billboard, or did you go because you heard the ad?
You're getting into the effectiveness of the trade show too, which is like, why should you go to the trade show a second time? But I think I would break down, like, if I'm thinking about like a framework for how to decide to go to a trade show, the first two things I would do is I would collect information. And I do this in two ways. Number one, I'd go to my biggest competitors and I'd see what trade shows they're in. Yeah. Right. So my direct competitors. So if we see 4over in a trade show, we're thinking maybe we should be in that trade show, right? And I hate to throw their name out there, but you guys know who they are. They're a $500 million company. So probably somewhere in there. And then the other thing is your customer. So your competitors, where are they? Maybe you have a competitor in another market that's not your market, but they have like maybe they do a Chamber of Commerce show. And you see them doing that, but they're in 2 cities over, right? So is there a Chamber of Commerce show in your city that you should be in?
Yeah.
So what your competitors are doing, talk to your customers. What are your customers doing? What are they attending trade shows? Your best customers, if they're going to a trade show, try and get into that trade show. And then my third step for determining whether or not you should go to a trade show is just go. Attend the trade show, right? Yeah. And so you've done some communication or some research and figured out what you think your big trade shows should be. Then before you exhibit this year, just go to the trade show and walk around and see what the vibe is of the show, see who's there, just listen in on conversations as you're walking through the aisles. Yep. And then make that determination after you've gone once. So yep. I know we've made that mistake before where we didn't even go to a show and then we exhibited it, and then you don't even know like what you're up against. Yep. Right. And so going once really will help solidify your approach to it.
Yeah, absolutely. If you're walking around the show, you see a lot of companies that are similar to you, are in the same state, like, position as you, and they're there and they have a lot of people walking up to their booth, having meaningful conversations. That's a really good indicator that you should be there. Barry Anders, there's a lot of value in developing relationships. Heck yeah, there is. No, absolutely.
This is a business of relationships for sure.
Yeah. And there's
we've met some amazing people.
Yeah. And there's, so we've been in it for 17 years and stuff. And it took us a few years to start, really kind of latching on to other companies and stuff and getting to know them, but just that exposure of, I think kind of what stemmed a lot of good relationships is the exposure of our company, the exposure of what we were doing, you partner on different things, right? You partner on work. Like there's something that doesn't fit your threshold or your product mix very well. And so that just kind of opens that door and keeps the juices flowing.
Yeah.
So yeah, for sure. Bill Simmons, I found out about On Print Shop from you guys. Yes, we love On Print Shop. They've been with us for 10 years. Has our site been?
8, I think.
8, yeah. And but that's one of our vendors that is at Printing United every single year. And so, being on the sales and marketing side, one of the biggest things that I enjoy about going to Printing United is seeing On Print Shop, because they're in India, right? And so they're on the other side of the world. There's not that, it's hard to develop that personal connection with people. And so when you see somebody in person, it just opens that up, and you appreciate them as a company. They appreciate you even more, going up to them and talking to them and stuff, and getting, and even grab a drink with them. You don't have to make it an expensive meal or anything like that. You don't have to go, spend a ton of money. They don't have to spend a ton of money. It's you can
happy hour,
grab a Coke at, a coffee shop, go to a coffee shop in the morning or something like that, and just the value in that is so huge. So where are we at?
I'm really glad On Print Shop's working for you. That's good. It's they have an amazing system, but you need to lean into it for it to work well.
Yeah.
Just like anything. So.
Yep. Yeah, and we found a lot of value in in working with On Print. And sorry, it's kind of off topic of travel a little bit, but in working with On Print Shop, we have found a ton of value in developing that relationship with just a couple people there, and then having them as a dedicated resource, within their company, to just focus, to give some of that attention to us has been huge. It keeps us top of mind on their, what they're doing. It keeps us it keeps them top of mind with us. We get to know specific people there, and so.
I think that's, and I know we had a question about this, but do you actually visit vendors, right? The question is, do you actually visit vendors? Why not just invite the sales rep in and save the travel time and cost, right? And so I think this is one of those things that's it's a real soft value that's hard to explain. But I mean, the thing is we think of the relationship. A lot of times we'll think of the relationship with our vendors as we're buying from them, they serve us. That's the end of it, right? And that's not how it is at all. They're our vendor partners, right? And so we can't do anything unless we're getting material brought into our floor, the boxes we need, all the supplies we need. If we're not getting that stuff, we go out of business, right? So They really are our vendor partner. Yes, we pay them. And it is kind of their responsibility to do a lot to maintain the relationship, I would say. But at the end of the day, if we go and visit them and we meet their warehouse people and we meet the customer service people, face to face, it's not just the outside sales rep, but we actually take the time to go visit the vendor. The team remembers that. And so when they've got 2 orders at the end of the day, right, and they're both equally important, but only one of them is going to get wrapped to get on the truck. Okay. We want them to pick the Fire Sprint order to get out on the truck. Right. And this is very pragmatic, right? We want them to remember us. We want them to remember, you know what? James showed up and he was here and he brought us donuts. And I remember that. And so I'm going to ship his order. I don't know who these guys are. It's not that I have any animosity towards this other one, but I know the Fire Sprint guys. So I'm going to make sure their order gets out first.
How many cases of beer did we take into?
Oh, we've done, cases of beer and donuts. I feel like go a long way, but that's just that in-person meeting, putting a name to a face is really valuable for everybody down the chain, not just your sales rep, not just, the customer service people, but, everybody.
Yeah. And when you take that, box of donuts, all right. Sorry, guys. Can you hear us now? Hopefully.
Okay.
So sorry about that.
I think we're back.
We were talking about, so right before we got cut off, I'm really sorry for that. We are running off of just Verizon network right now. And so I apologize. We can have full service, but it's so apologize for that. Anyways, what we were saying is that go into those vendors, drop off a box of donuts, drop off a case of beer, and it makes all the difference in the world. And then
I think we got that out.
Yeah.
We stopped right.
Make sure you tape your business card to that case of beer. Or tape your business card or write it with a big Sharpie on there, from this shop.
Yeah, not everybody knows where the donuts are from, so make sure they know.
Yeah. Because there's people that come in that never see a client's face and stuff. They're working it on the shop floor. And when they see that, they just kind of remember it. I think of, there's a handful of clients that do it to, they'll come drop in and you don't need to do this. don't.
No, please. We thank you for those that do it, but
Yeah.
we really don't.
But
we feed our people pretty well.
It really just it you know, they get to know everybody's face and stuff, and so, and it's a little bit different with us because they're like the company name is not trickling through our shop since we're trade only, but you know, for those that the company name is trickling through the shop, it just makes all the difference in the world to them. When they see your order, they get a little smile on their face. They remember back on, you know, that little present you gave them. So
yeah.
Crystal Keller, so happy to see your all's faces. She's actually a vendor of, or she was a vendor of ours, bookkeeper and accountant. So yeah, it's all that stuff. We love it. Let's just see. Texas.
Thanks, Texas.
Thank you for coming in, watching us. Trying to make sure we got all of our. James T, have you ever used Design and Buy prior to OPS? Did we?
We did for a short minute, and Design and Buy seems a little more retail focused. There were some things that we liked about it. I don't know enough about it today to really make a good comparison. I think on Print Shop, to me, just very high level, I think on Print Shop's a little more enterprise, right? A little more, let's customize the solution to really get what you want. Mm-hmm. Design and Buy is a little more app based, where, you know, it's going to have a lower cost of entry, but then when you really get into it and want to start customizing things, it might be more challenging, which, you know, could be, depending on who you are, good or bad. I think if you're really committed, you're really, instead of hiring another salesperson, you're going to spend $50,000 plus on your website. I don't know that Design and Buy is the team. They might be. I think, you know, if you're thinking my website budget's less than $1,000 a month, then, you know, Design and Buy, Shopify, there's all kinds of things like that I might explore. And I could be speaking out of turn there. I think, you know, visit them themselves.
Something that's really important to remember is, you know, like kind of one of those things where you hire for culture and then you hire for skill. Right. And when you're talking to a vendor, like, you know, a web developer or something like that, do you appreciate them? Right. Do you appreciate what they do and who they work, like how they talk? And,
that is a fantastic point.
And because it's like
don't get stuck with somebody you don't enjoy working with.
Yeah. You have to enjoy it. And, you know, that's one of the things that, you know, the On Print Shop team, we've gotten to enjoy them, and, you know, we've gotten to know them really well. And it's not just you know, a transactional conversation. It's, you know, it's a little more meaningful. And part of that is, you know, like, since we've built that relationship, they respect the heck out of our business. We respect the heck out of their business. And, you know, we rely 100% on our e-commerce platform. Right. And so it's so important that we have that good, strong relationship there. And so, yeah,
for sure.
James, thank you for the order came in from ASI Chicago. So there we go. That's the ROI that we're looking for.
All right. It's official.
It's official. Thank you. So when you're traveling for trade shows, do you like to take your family with you?
This is a good question. So, and we kind of learned this.
Family vacation / work.
We learned this the hard way. I think I learned this personally. I learned this the hard way. And so I think the most important thing that you can remember when you're trying to mix a trade show and family show, absolutely do it, right? If you can expense the flights and things like that, because and then like add it, you know, when they're going to Las Vegas or Orlando, you have your wife come along or your family come along. Mm-hmm. That's fantastic. But if one rule I have, now it might be different for you, but one rule I have is to do the work first and then the family travel second. Yep. And so I've mixed those up more than once, and I'm stressed out for the whole family vacation because I'm thinking about how I'm going to maximize this trade show and everything else. And I'm preparing for it, especially if we're exhibiting. Yeah. That's really a bad time. But even just visiting the trade show, you know, work first and then family second. And so my most successful trips have always been to go to the show myself. I fly out there, and then I meet my family at the airport at the end of the show on the last day or the day after the show. Yeah. And then they drive out or whatever. Yeah. And then that way you're relaxed and the work is done, and then you can really spend time and enjoy the time with your family. Yeah. I have found doing it the opposite way, I'm not as effective at the trade show, and then I'm high strung when I'm with my family, and, you know, nobody's really having as good of a time as we should be having. Yeah. Might be different for you, but for me, that's my rule now.
Yeah. Exhibiting in trade shows is very it's pretty labor intensive,
Yeah.
right? And you're exhausted. You're kind of brain fried after,
You spent all this money and it's a ton of work.
Yeah.
Usually
Yeah.
you can spend a bunch of money for it not to be that much work.
Yeah.
It's still a ton of work.
And then Vegas itself
Oh,
is a huge
let's not get into
brain
that.
fry
Yeah.
as well. And so
Yeah.
sometimes those trips are better to leave them separate, but if you can make it work and stuff. PPAI, we had a lot of fun right before and stuff. And
Yeah.
But it's all just kind of what you figure out what works best for you.
If you're a little more high strung, so I'm more high strung than James is. If you're a little more high strung, do the work first, the family second. If you are pretty laid back and easygoing, then it might be easier for you to do them the other way, or even overlap a little bit.
Yeah. Or give yourself a day in between.
Yeah.
Right. Like having kind of the like relaxed day in between where you're trying to like reset and stuff is. But it is challenging to go from work to personal.
But it's a great opportunity to double dip though, because you're flying somewhere anyway. You got all these expenses. You got the hotel expenses. It's a great opportunity to double dip. And so absolutely encourage it. We try and do it whenever we can.
Yeah. We do have another question from James. Great name, by the way. There's a couple Jameses in here. I really appreciate. That's what I was trying.
Yeah.
I really appreciate. Does your OPS does on-print shop work directly into your custom MIS? And so we do have a well, you're probably better, but we have an API connection between the two. So we have on-print shop, we have FileMaker, which internally we call it Lumen, and then we also have QuickBooks. And so
so on-print shop has an API. It's a REST API. It's just a bunch of JSON data, which if you look at it, it's like it's code, but then you start reading it, it's like, oh, this is actually, you can, like, it's English, you can understand it.
Yeah.
And FileMaker just connects, every minute or two and checks the website for new orders and pulls all that order data down.
Yep.
And that's just something we built.
Yep.
But yes, we process up to about 1,000 jobs a day, so 1,000 pieces of artwork a day.
Yeah.
And if it's not automated, we'd never get it all done.
So, and then we also have the marketing and service platforms on HubSpot as well, which we have the connection between on-print shop and that. And so that's pushing all of our contact information. So as soon as you register at firesprint.com and then we approve the account, it pushes all the data over for that. And then then our phone system's integrated with that, our service emails integrated with that. And then we pull the order information, which we're not currently utilizing the order information in HubSpot yet, but the future plan is to. And then it just kind of, like, one of the best things it does is it just chronologically puts everything into one platform, one interface.
I've been thinking I've been exploring something called Order Desk, and this is not really the platform for me to bring this up, but I've been exploring something called Order Desk. I'm just curious if you're watching this video and you happen to comment below or let us know. I'm curious if any of you guys have any experience using Order Desk. And so it kind of helps bridge an API connection there.
Yeah.
And that's what we're kind of looking for, to just give people more ways to get us.
Yeah.
More we have the orders, but
we have a handful of clients where they'll place,
totally off topic,
5+ orders a day with us.
Yeah.
And, like they're manually, going in and placing these orders on firesprint.com, which is, it's extremely labor
API connection.
Yeah. It's extremely labor intensive. And then, on print shop, the way that we're set up, since we have so much customization, it's not really like great for somebody to integrate with us because everything is so dynamic. But anyways, back on topic.
Yeah. Sorry. I woke up in the middle of the night last night in the hotel room thinking about it. I'm like, we maybe should move on this thing. Anyway, sorry, never mind.
So something that to kind of get back into our travel questions and stuff, and if you have any questions, please take some time to send those on there. We love that feedback and we love the communication. But one of the things that we are really bad at taking advantage of, and we used to be better about it when we were smaller, and like it was like just Gene and I and Mark traveling to the shows, is the breakout sessions. If you have the opportunity to do the breakout sessions, obviously you can look at those in advance and you can kind of get a schedule. A lot of these trade show platforms like Printing United and ASI and stuff, they'll give you like a scheduler that you can go through and see all the different ones and you can pick out which ones you want to do. Some of them might charge extra for them. They're 100% worth it, right? To talk to those industry experts, especially if you are still like trying to build relationships within the industry, talking to those experts that are talking in those breakout sessions is great. Just any little snippet of knowledge that you can pick up, any inspiration that you can pick up to go back to your shop and try to implement new ideas and stuff. You're not always going to find the exact solution there, but it's going to help inspire you to figure out what the exact solution is.
Yeah, that's kind of the running theme.
Yeah.
So Texas sign maker Tyler Signs asked if we were thinking about offering IJ180C printed vinyl, and so we had it. That we offered it many years ago. We were offering it. It was just a very slow seller for us because we don't sell to a lot of wrap shops.
Yeah.
But I adding a cast option like IJ180C is definitely on the docket for us maybe next year. I'm curious, because we know some of our big competitors offer it, and I'm curious, what can we do with that product to make it? Is there a gap that you know of in the market that we could fulfill? Is there a weakness that any of our competitors have with that product? So we do run the newest generation of the Canon Colorados, and I believe it is a very flexible ink, and it would work well with wraps. I haven't tested it myself. I'm not a wrap guy, but as long as that ink would work well on it, it'd be interesting. We'd be very interested to explore that, and but it'd be nice to have some feedback on what should we do to really be great at it, do you think the Colorados would be a good fit? And so we can buy a roll and run some of it and send it down to you too. You can test it for us. I'd be happy to do that. So
yeah. Let's see here. What do we do to protect ourselves when we open up our shop to other businesses and stuff?
So I first of all, generally nothing, because again, the abundance mindset, we're all kind of working to figure stuff out. It's pretty impossible to just copy our secret sauce, right? You can't do it. You can take some ideas and make your inspiration, take it back and make your shop a little bit better. And you're going to inspire us in that process to make our shop a little bit better. It makes our guys proud because they're proud of showing off their work they do.
Yeah.
And so I think all that's great for us, and it's probably not necessarily the same for you. You're probably showing off. If I were a retail shop, I'd be showing the artwork we're doing every single day, setting up a portfolio. But since we're a wholesale shop, it's not our artwork. The biggest thing we do is just try and hide as much of the artwork as we can. If we know there's going to be a tour coming through, we'll put covers over all the artwork. We'll kind of stop production for that tour. Obviously, you can see the videos. Andrew does a good job of blurring out artwork.
Yeah.
But in terms of you think you got this little secret, this little thing figured out, I guarantee that if you think you've got this little thing figured out in the print industry, there's somebody else already doing it. You just don't know. You came to the same conclusion. We're all trying to solve the same problems, and we have kind of the basic set of tools available to us, like what you can buy from Grimco, for example. We're going to solve problems in similar ways. So I'm not very protective of our shop. I can't really think of anything that somebody could ask me that I would say, no, we're not going to share that with you because that's something we figured out. No, I mean, it's yeah.
I love this industry. It seems like most smaller shops, and you share ideas to help everyone. We try to. That's what we're. Tyler here. Smaller shops and share ideas to help everyone grow. And so, I mean, that's huge for the industry.
James Duncan is saying this. I love this industry, as it seems most smaller shops share ideas to help everyone grow. Absolutely.
Yeah. It just inspires us all. To grow. And then Tyler Signs, if you could print multiple panels and then match them up properly color-wise, that would be filling the void in the market.
Good to know. I wouldn't have immediately thought of that. So thank you very much we'll have to think about that. Maybe we can offer that product, but offer it in a paneled way where we take on the responsibility of making sure panels line up.
I mean, you think about the nature of that material, and it's more of a, it's a wrap material, right? So you're doing bigger jobs. You're doing a whole side of a car. And so I wonder if a lot of shops have trouble with color consistency from batch to batch to batch or something.
Which, I don't know, maybe on our Colorados, we really could kill it with that. So anyway, thank you for the idea. Your commission check is in the mail. We'll see what we can do, but that's really good feedback. I love that. That gives us something to strive for with that product. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. Here from Print Fam, Rick Martin Del Campo. Thank you for coming.
Thank you. Awesome. So let's see here. What question should we do next? Should I go to the giant show to see everyone? Nah.
Some of these things we're just answering in our, which we're making it hard for Andrew to chop this up. And
I know.
Put out a little. I know.
I feel like
we're pretty hard.
We
keep telling Andrew, go find 2-minute clips and like put it out there. And Andrew's like, you guys rambled for 9 minutes on the answer. I don't know. Like I can chop up the words and put, but sorry, I'm doing it now.
Yep. So
Andrew's laughing. We can see Andrew. He's just giggling over here.
Yeah. How much of a trade show do you pre-plan before you go?
So today I don't pre-plan hardly anything when I go, right? Because I'm just going to walk around because I'm going to recognize 50 people while I'm there. It's so much fun. It's like a family reunion.
Yeah.
And so I just go with being as loose as I can with the whole show. But early on, it really helped to have some structure to the show. You know, you plan some breakout sessions. I would aim, if you've never been to a trade show, I would aim for show, particularly big shows. I would try and plan 30 or 40% of my time. Try and figure out some stuff to go after the show. So you're, a happy hour or things like that. Try and plan a couple of breakout sessions to go to, because that's going to help your mind reset. It's going to kind of keep you focused, setting those constraints. You know, I got to be here at 11, so I'm going to kind of go through this area more quickly. It seems maybe bad, or counterintuitive, but it'll make you more focused. It'll keep you more engaged with the show. And so certainly, if you've never been to a show before, sign up for some of the breakout sessions, sign up for some of the happy hours, go to some of that stuff and plan out 30, 40, 50% of your show. And you're going to get more out of it for that. Absolutely.
Yeah. I always try to take the last day of the show for just walking around and seeing all the little guys. Right. And if you got more time, do it as much as possible. But the little guys are the ones that are, they can't, they're not going to send a sales rep out to your shop. Mm-hmm. You're probably not going to go to one of their demo facilities or something. And think about, what's an example of a little guy that you've seen at the shows that, you've.
Yeah. So, a lot of times it's small tools that you're finding and carts and, just, I don't know. I'm kind of drawing a blank on what we've seen, but software vendors, right? So there's a software vendor we're awfully interested in, ZenSmart, I think they're called, and we're kind of exploring their solution. And they just had a little 10 by 10 booth in the back corner, and I would have never known that they existed at all had we not taken that time. So this isn't, but you are talking about planning a day or half a day to walk up and down the little booths and see the little guys. So, we of course always stop and see our friends at Durst and Canon and Agfa and all these guys that we know, Zund and we stop and say hi and we're shaking hands and we're, how's everything going? How's the family? But then like the real opportunities at the show are to meet these people who we've never met before, because those Canon's going to send a rep out to talk to us, a couple times a year. Durst is, Don is going to come up and see us all the time, or Don from Laminacore is going to come see us all the time. These guys. So it's these people who you'd never get an opportunity to meet, I think are really important. So taking some time to plan out.
Yeah. And that does, like if you are going to a show for equipment purposes, that is one thing as well, that you're not always going to get the testing done at the show that you want to get done, decide like not to get too deep into, equipment purchasing and how we justify that and stuff like that. But, so maybe the equipment itself, you might be looking for something smaller at the show rather than, like when we bought the D4, we didn't make that decision at a trade show. We made that decision by going and visiting a few shops and stuff, seeing
it run in person,
seeing it run in person. And the value of that too is you get to see somebody else's facility, how they operate, what they do, and like Durst has a really good relationship with us to where like if they wanted to bring in somebody to do a demo with us, we would open our doors to that.
Absolutely.
And same thing with, he's got other shops that are around and stuff that he opens that door up for demos. And, so regardless, it's you're utilizing the time, at the show for the people that you wouldn't be able to see outside of the show.
Yeah.
And so, if you're James Duncan, what's the best way to do it if you can only make one day of a multiple day show?
So I would definitely say go with a goal in mind, right? list out the vendors that you want to see. So if you can only be at the show for a day, it's really important to know who's going to be there. Yeah. And try and figure out who you absolutely must go see, who you need to shake hands with, who you need to meet in person. And then plan your route out. So if you're going to Printing United, for example, on a one-day show, I would try and maybe avoid the middle day, just because it's going to be the most crowded, right?
Yeah.
And you want more time with these people that you're seeing. But planning, more planning. So when we go to a 3-day show like Printing United, we don't exhibit. So we actually take the first day to just get to know the show. We're not doing a lot of pre-planning.
Yeah.
And that's just kind of how we roll. We just go with an open mind. But if we could only go for a day,
yeah,
I would know where all the booths are that I want to visit, where they are.
Yeah.
And then
and where the booths are matters, right?
It's a city.
Because like, so Printing United and PPAI, they're, Printing United is the biggest show for the print industry, for the art, like for the sign market, and stuff like that. And then PPAI is the largest show for promotional products that I can think of, right? And
at least in the United States,
to walk from one end of Printing United to the other end, and it could be across multiple halls. I mean, it was a 15-minute walk to get from one
hall to the
other, and then from side to side it's another 20 minutes. And so it's really important that spend day one in this hall, spend day two in this hall, or at PPAI it's all in one big room, but it's like an L shape. And so start from this end one day, and then start from the other end the next day, and recognize who you want to see. And I would say, get your I have learned that the last day of the show, it's not nearly as busy, and people are more susceptible to talk for a long period of time. First day of the show, everybody's excited to be there. It's quick, fast conversations.
Deeper conversations happen on the last day. So it's for sure. If you could only pick one day, you might decide to go the last day, just because everybody has more time for it.
And keep in mind too, a lot of the bigger companies that are doing these shows, they might be hosting a happy hour, or something like that. And if if that is available from them or something, maybe take your time to talk to your sales rep at the happy hour versus at the show, right? And so that way you're not wasting show time on somebody that you can talk to outside of the hours of the show. And so so
this has been fun doing this from the car. Maybe we should do this every time, huh? No, I'm just kidding. But
only 3 connection issues.
But this is cool. We man, I'll tell you, like, there's a plant right there, huge building, that we're looking at, as we're looking at you guys. And I'm excited to get back in there. I'm excited to talk to them about, how they're growing. These guys have grown so much recently. And I wish I could share with you who they are and everything. And, if ever they want to jump in the comments and say who they are, they're welcome to do that, but we're not going to do that. Just the inspiration of seeing a bigger shop, right? Like, we have so much to learn from these guys. And it's just, we've done Zoom meetings with them, and, they've shown us pictures of their shop or getting in their camera system, things like that, like to try and point out there's just nothing like being there and seeing the operation and taking that inspiration. I know we've got Omar, Eric, Brian in there. I know they're inspired by what they're seeing. I mean, they're talking about, they're like, wow, we got to do that at FireSprint. We got to do that at FireSprint. And, that didn't work for us, and we can see it working there. So maybe we should try it again, or, things like that. And you just can't, you can't experience that stuff through a screen. You have to do it. And so let this be an open invitation for you guys to set up a time to come see us in Omaha. You're more than, all of you are welcome to come. We're very open about our shop. We might have to kind of arrange a time where it makes sense, but
the vendor is currently calling the police on random guys sitting in the parking lot. Well, hopefully not.
They got all these screens in front of them. They're just sitting there.
Who are these guys? I figured we kind of look like storm chasers because it's raining out. And
I think some of them are maybe watching, but I don't know. But
So anyways, so thank you guys for joining us. As always, you can email any questions to marketing@firesprint.com. That goes to Gene and I directly. If you ever do want to schedule a tour, you can email marketing. I'm James@firesprint.com, and Gene, Gene, @firesprint.com. You're welcome to email us directly as well.
Not order information. Okay, we will lose that 100% of the time. That's support@firesprint.com. This is like, you want to talk about business, you want to shoot the wind about, things, our experience with, our vendors, those kinds of things. Absolutely, talk to us. If you got an order or you want to know an order status, like, we're going to lose it. Please don't send us any.
Support. That goes to support
We have
at firesport.com.
we have a team of people who are like dedicated to answering support at firesport.com for that kind of thing. So
and when we were
please-
talking earlier about
Yeah.
people at the shop being much smarter than us, it's them.
Yeah.
So,
I can't tell you how many times I'm scrolling through my inbox and it's like, oh shoot, like so and so, wanted some update to their order, and it's like we've already shipped it because I didn't see it until 2 days later.
yeah,
So
yeah, we
Yeah.
try to
Yeah.
stay on top of everything, but there are a ton of notifications and stuff that
Yeah.
we get for internal things, and so
Yeah.
for external communication in regards to orders and stuff like that, support at firesport.com, or just go directly to firesport.com, or call our support team. We have an awesome support team.
888-509-7446.
So, but thank you all for taking the time to join us. We appreciate it. And thanks for all the comments and stuff. And obviously, at any point in time, don't be afraid to email us, additional questions and stuff. We'd love to have you at our shop. Love to talk to you. So thanks.
Thank you.